#1 choice for news at 11. This is NBC 12 News.
We are following a developing story at this hour involving these two teens. They are missing from a home in Caroline County, and authorities think they were kidnapped by a relative. Hello and welcome to 12 News. I'm Gene Lepley. Authorities think these two teens, a brother and sister, have been abducted by their uncle. 16-year-old Austin King and 14-year-old Denise Dixon have been missing since Friday. Investigators say they left a note at their home saying they didn't want to attend a boarding school, so they were leaving with their uncle. The teen's mother says there were never any plans to send either child to a boarding school. Authorities think their uncle, 31-year-old Lewis King Jr., made up the story to get them to leave with him. Police say King may be driving a 2005 Pontiac Vibe with a Virginia license plate right there. It reads JRE 1647. If you have any information, please call the Caroline County Sheriff's Department at that number at the bottom of your screen, 804-633-5400. Police in Maryland have issued an Amber Alert for 3 missing children. Police found their mother murdered inside their Montgomery County home. No sign of the kids. Police believe their father, Kelechi Charles Emarua, abducted his daughter and 2 sons. Elijah is 4 years old. His sister, Antone, is 6, and their brother, Jackie, is 8. Police describe Emarua as a black male, 5 feet 9 inches tall, about 190 pounds. He could be driving a blue Civic with Maryland license plates. If you spot that car or him, call 911. Richmond police have arrested a man accused of stabbing his girlfriend more than a dozen times, then leaving her to die in a storage unit. This 18-year-old woman survived the brutal attack. Police say she punched a hole through the wall, then managed to climb out and into a hallway. The storage manager found her and called police. She is expected to recover. Her boyfriend, Kip Burns, will likely face charges of abduction and malicious wounding. Convicted killer Ricky Gray will be back in court tomorrow to face yet another murder charge. Prosecutors say Gray shot and killed that woman, Sherry Warner of Culpeper. She was found dead in her burning home last December, a couple of weeks before the Harvey family was killed here in Richmond. Gray has already been sentenced to death for killing Brian Harvey, his wife and 2 children, on New Year's Day, 2006. It was a crime that left the community in shock. The Harveys were killed in the basement of their Woodland Heights home in South Richmond. Brian Harvey, a popular musician, and his wife Catherine, a Carytown business owner, and their 2 daughters, Stella and Ruby, were found by friends arriving for a New Year's Day party. Their murders were the first of a string of killings that week that panicked Richmond residents until police arrested Ricky Gray and his nephew, Ray Dandridge.
We believe we have put an end to what we consider 7 very serious cases here in the city.
The 2 men were caught in Philadelphia and returned to Richmond to stand trial. Gray for the Harvey murders and Dandridge for the murders of Perciel and Mary Tucker and her daughter, Ashley Baskerville.
We're going to have to balance our professional role and judgment in presenting evidence against our efforts to preserve the respect and sanctity for the memory of the victims.
Gray would eventually confess to killing the Harveys, first cutting their throats one by one, then bludgeoning them with a hammer before setting fire to their house. It was a crime of opportunity. The front door was open. Gray received 2 death sentences for the little girl's murders, a victory for friends and family of the Harveys.
I think my brother and his wife would feel very, very pleased to know that the community came together for them.
That same day, Woodland Heights residents marched in memory of the victims.
In order for us to stop the crime, we got to get involved. You can't stop crime waiting for crime to happen and then come and pray for the people after it has passed.
In a separate trial, Ray Dandridge was convicted of the Tucker Baskerville murders. He escaped the death penalty, but will spend the rest of his life in prison. A 29-year-old Henrico man is dead, and a 16-year-old girl now facing a long list of charges after a fatal accident early this morning. Bob Richardson has been following that story out of Henrico County.
This was a type of tragic event the police had hoped to prevent with their special patrols on New Year's Eve. Wes Taylor was killed. Tonight, the teen, the 16-year-old girl, is charged with aggravated involuntary manslaughter, DUI, and possession of alcohol. And Taylor's friends are mourning his death. It was 40 minutes after the ball dropped in New York's Times Square. 29-year-old Wesley Taylor was headed home from his job as a bartender. Taylor sat waiting for the lights to change at Lauderdale, and about the same time, police say a 16-year-old girl who'd been drinking and had alcohol in the car was headed west on Broad. Police say she ran the red light just as Taylor crossed Broad. The girl's Jeep slammed into the driver's side of Taylor's car. Both cars are at Henrico's impound lot, sitting side by side.
It's just tragic. It's just tragic.
For the last 3 years, Taylor was a bartender at Applebee's at Short Pump. Shawnee McDonald is a regular at the restaurant and a friend of Taylor's.
He was just one of those people that everybody loved. Everybody. He doesn't have an enemy in the world, and, you know, he's never in a bad mood. People from all over the business in this area just came over to see him. He was just a truly, truly amazing person.
McDonald pointed out the irony in Taylor's death. As a bartender, he was careful not to let others drink and drive.
Which is why this makes something like this just so upsetting. On his way home from work.
Police wouldn't say if the girl remains in juvenile detention or if she's been released to the custody of her parents. Tonight, Taylor's friends planned a candlelight vigil in his honor. I'm Rob Richardson, NBC 12 News.
Henrico police are investigating another deadly accident that occurred near the Hanover County line. Happened sometime late last night, perhaps early this morning on Creighton Road. 19-year-old Lamar Morris of Hanover was killed when he lost control of his car and flipped it near the Chickahominy River. His car was found by a passing motorist upside down, partially submerged. Investigators don't know yet if alcohol was a factor. And plenty of questions remain unanswered after a 22-year-old man was hit and killed by a truck in Dinwiddie County this morning. Police tell us they took a number of calls about someone walking down the middle of Airport Street shortly before the crash. Investigators say the driver of the truck was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol, although it's too soon to know whether the victim had been drinking. Thousands of mourners filed through the Capitol Rotunda for a third day now to pay their respects to former President Gerald Ford. Tomorrow marks a national day of mourning in his honor. Jennifer Johnson has more from Washington, D.C.
On the evening before President Ford's state funeral, his widow, former First Lady Betty Ford, prayed at the side of her husband's casket, her private pain shared by millions of Americans. The final visitors paid their last respects before the doors to the Capitol Rotunda, where he lay in state for 3 days, were closed for the night. On this somber, rainy day in Washington, President George Bush and wife Laura stood quietly by the flag-draped casket of President Ford, a man Mr. Bush has called a true gentleman who reflected the best in America's character. Earlier, President Ford's children, Susan Ford Bales and Michael Ford, shared a quiet moment before greeting hundreds of mourners. There were a few familiar faces, but most just strangers, who came to honor a man who tried to heal a nation after the resignation of President Nixon.
To say thank you for what he did for our country at a time when not everybody wanted him to do what he did. Forgiveness.
On the eve of President Ford's funeral, dignitaries also came, including former President George Herbert Walker Bush, former President Bill Clinton and Senator Hillary Clinton, and new House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Tomorrow, President Ford's remains will depart the rotunda and rest outside the Senate chamber in honor of his service as Vice President of the United States and Senate President. The motorcade will then proceed to the Washington National Cathedral, passing the White House en route. President Bush will deliver the eulogy at President Ford's funeral tomorrow. Then his remains will go home to Grand Rapids, Michigan for a final service where President Jimmy Carter will speak. Jennifer Johnson, NBC News, Washington.
We invite you to stay with NBC 12 for continuing coverage as the nation honors its 38th president. We'll bring you live coverage of the national funeral service. It begins tomorrow, 9 a.m. New at 11, a python latches onto its handler and refuses to let go. Plus, a major snowstorm now leaves hundreds stranded in 3 states. We'll have an update on the situation just ahead.
And we, of course, dealt with a lot of rain today. Right now, the Doppler radar shows most all of that precipitation has moved out of here. I'll have your forecast for the week coming up in just a few minutes.
But first, a quick reminder, federal and state offices will be closed again tomorrow. President Bush has declared a national day of mourning for President Ford. The stock market will also be closed, so will post offices. Mail delivery will pick up again on Wednesday. It's important to note, though, that local schools open tomorrow, and so are most area banks.
Right now, over half our suits and sport coats are on sale, plus hundreds of pants, sweaters, shoes, shirts, and outerwear, 20 to 50% off. Now that's a sale. I guarantee it.
The Men's Warehouse Winter Sale.
That's my brother Earl. He's been driving the same car for 20 years. What's worse, he's had the same car insurance for 20 years. I tell him, Earl, driving an old car is one thing, but having outdated insurance could be costing you a fortune.
Is that right?
Switch to the AARP insurance program from the Hartford. It's a program designed for people 50 plus.
Not yet a member? Call now. 1-800-556-4798.
We're challenging Honda and Toyota head-on at the Hyundai Challenge Year-End Sales Event. It's your last, best, biggest chance to get big cash back on a lineup that offers you better quality, better fuel efficiency, a better warranty, and better year-end savings on models like the award-winning Sonata. We're up to the challenge, and you'll put big cash back in your pocket, but only if you hurry. Get a new Sonata with up to $1,500 cash back or 0.9% APR.
I got breakfast.
Did you get a raise?
No, my treat.
Promotion? Bonus? Trust fund.
Getting breakfast just got easier. Right now, grab McDonald's Tasty Sausage Biscuit for just $1.
Must be nice having a sugar mama.
Right now, over half our suits and sport coats are on sale, plus hundreds of pants, sweaters, shoes, shirts, and outerwear, 20 to 50% off. Now that's a sale. I guarantee it.
The Men's Warehouse Winter Sale.
Awarded for spot news photography 3 years in a row by the Virginia Associated Press. This is NBC 12 News.
A snake handler in Florida says she was worried she wouldn't get her hand back after a 14-foot python bit her and tried to drag her into its cage. Happened yesterday during a snake show at Tarpon Springs Aquarium. The snake didn't release its grip until a police officer zapped it with a stun gun. The snake was not seriously hurt, and the handler is going to be all right as well. Authorities in Indonesia say a passenger jet missing for several hours most likely crashed. The plane sent out a distress signal before it disappeared with more than 100 people aboard. Searchers now scouring the area from where the distress signal originated. Officials don't know if the plane went down in the sea or on land. There is now word the U.S. Navy has been contacted about a possible sea rescue operation. North Korea is starting the new year on a defiant note. The country issued a message today defending its nuclear programs. The message also said the military should be prepared to defend North Korea's leaders. Residents in the capital marked the new year by paying respects to the country's founder, the late Kim Il-sung. The U.S. military announced today the deaths of 2 more American soldiers in Iraq. These soldiers were based in Fort Hood, Texas. The military has not released their names. In all now, more than 3,000 U.S. service members have been killed in Iraq since the war began. Today in Baghdad and other cities across Iraq, protesters angry over Saddam Hussein's execution back in the streets again today, upset over how the death sentence was carried out. This is amateur video of Saddam's execution spreads across the internet. On it, witnesses and guards hurl insults at Saddam. The Iraqi government says it is now investigating how that video was leaked. On Capitol Hill, it's a new year, a new Congress, and a new party about to take power. The first day of the session is January 4th. Democrats have taken over control of both houses for the first time since 1994. They're promising change, and how will that affect you?
If you're a Democrat and you've been eager for a more activist Congress who's going to assert itself against this president, then you're probably going to be very happy. If you're a Republican who's been fairly pleased with the job the president's done, you're really not going to like the next 2 years.
Democrats say one of the changes they'll make is a 5-day work week in Washington. The last Congress worked fewer days than the so-called do-nothing Congress in 1948. Other priorities for Democrats and Republicans include the conflict in Iraq, ethics reform, immigration, and energy policy. And this week, Jim Webb will step into his new role as U.S. Senator. On Wednesday, Webb will be sworn in during a ceremony in Arlington. Webb won his seat last month by a narrow vote margin over Republican George Allen. The so-called language police out with their annual hit list of words they would like to get off the streets. Among the top contenders, any word formed by combining 2 celebrity names like Brangelina and Tomcat. The list also targets political satirist Stephen Colbert's brainchild, Truthiness. A local high school band rang in the New Year in style by performing in London. A few American vibes over across the pond. The Deep Run High School Marching Band, chosen by an international judging panel to take part in the New Year's Day parade. They were joined by 10,000 other performers from a dozen nations. They marched past some of London's most well-known landmarks. You know Big Ben right there in the background. And an estimated 500,000 people lined the streets to get a first-hand look at what all the noise was about. Well, what is your New Year's resolution? I'll bet losing weight, perhaps. Well, if it is, you're not alone. And what do you do to shed those extra pounds? Well, if you're considering one of these breakthrough diets you hear about on TV, these infomercials, well, you want to hear this week's Rip-Off Report. Here's Diane Walker.
Applying a special lotion or strapping on a special device that burns calories by exercising for you while you rest is simply bogus, and you knew that already. Without diet and exercise, no matter how enticing the claim, you won't lose any of those extra pounds you put on over the holidays. Steady weight loss cannot be achieved. The Better Business Bureau says it's only guaranteed you will lose your money believing diet products and gimmicks. Here are some key words and phrases that usually mean the promotion is misleading or fraudulent. Immediate, effortless, guaranteed weight loss. Also, be aware of diet products being advertised as breakthrough, secret, exclusive, or miraculous. Adjectives sound impressive, but they are not scientific terms. If you're really tempted by the product or weight loss program's track record claims, check them out before sending money. You can contact the BBB for information on the company or the diet program's history and to find out if the company lives up to its promises. Meantime, get moving, exercise, and eat fewer calories if you want to lose weight. I'm Diane Walker. That's tonight's Rip-Off Report.
Thanks, Diane. And the Food and Drug Administration also provides information on these advertised diet products. You can find it online at FDA.gov. And remember, check with your doctor before trying any weight loss product or program. Residents in Colorado, Kansas, and New Mexico spent the holiday digging out after a weekend snowstorm left behind this sea of white. The storm being blamed for at least a dozen deaths. It dumped as much as 4 feet of snow in some towns. National Guard troops now helping those who are stranded or stuck. State troopers also plan to deliver goods to ranchers. Some 3,000 head of cattle may have gone without food and water now for 3 days.
Tomorrow's forecast tonight. This is NBC 12 First Warning Weather.
Well, we dealt with lots of precipitation in the form of rain today. Area flooding, a problem in many parts of the region, metro area, where the typical spots of poor drainage, of slow drainage. We had rain on the order of 2 to 4 inches. That causing the trouble today. Only rivers that are going up are really to the south, Appomattox River, some minor flooding expected around there down toward Farmville, that area. James River not expected to be a problem. All right, let's talk about a drier evening now taking shape. Temperature's still mild, though. 40s, upper 40s throughout most of the area. Here at the station is still around 50, 52 at Highland Springs. Rain totals today, metro area, anywhere from 2 to 3 inches. And higher amounts in some locations out toward Farmville, up to 4 inches of rainfall today. All right, let's check out the picture as we look at our satellite and radar composite over the eastern United States. And you can see the storm moving very rapidly away. A little cloudiness still hanging back in the Appalachian Mountains tonight, but with the storm moving to the northeast, we do have drier conditions working in. We've, in fact, had clearing skies earlier this evening. Mild high pressure building up from the southwest, promising to bring us a couple of nice days coming up. Next storm already moving into the southern Rockies will bring us more showers later this week, and this will not be a huge storm like the last one. This will be much smaller, and they're thankful for that out in the Rocky Mountain states where they're still digging, of course, from the snowfall. All right, wake-up weather forecast, cooler tomorrow morning with some patchy fog over the region. I think the wind overnight will tend to break up most of that, but there will be some of it around. 42 degrees, 4 o'clock in the morning. Pre-sunrise, 38 degrees at 6 a.m., 8 a.m. temperature at about 40 degrees. Hour-by-hour forecast, wee hours of the morning, mainly clear with some patchy fog around here. Kind of breezy overnight. This is shortly after sunrise. We see some cloudiness out in the Appalachians, but around here it looks like some sunshine. Cold front continues to move offshore early tomorrow, and with that moving away, high pressure building in from the west, and that's the center of high pressure that's going to bring us some sunshine through tomorrow afternoon, also into Wednesday, as we'll look for some nice temperatures. Tomorrow will be much cooler than it was today, but Wednesday back up to around the 60-degree mark. 40 degrees, 8 o'clock in the morning temperature tomorrow. Midday temperature, we'll be looking at readings in the low 50s, rather, around 52. Mid to upper 50s later tomorrow afternoon. Most spots not getting out of the mid or upper 50s. I think as we get toward Wednesday, we'll start to feel more of that big warmth coming back. 60 degrees, partly sunny. The next system out west brings some showers late in the day Thursday with high temperatures of 63. And then as we look at our extended forecast, showers move out Friday. We get a break Saturday, upper 60s. More rain coming in later Sunday into Monday with slightly cooler temperatures. Notice the low temperature tomorrow night at 29. That is the lowest number on our 7-day forecast here, and that's not bad for early January. Gene.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
Coming up next, a 14-year-old sets his sights on the record books. Plus, most dogs love the water. Well, this one's taking it to a whole new level. The story behind this bizarre fundraiser coming up.
First Warning Weather is brought to you by Richmond Window Corporation.
The Allen Law Firm will help you get through more than just your personal injury case. We'll help you get through what may be the toughest time in your life. And we've done just that for nearly a century. Call us. We know how to help, and we will.
Well, when we started the program 19 years ago, we had no idea that it would be so contagious.
And you did it again, Central Virginia. You answered the call and brought in more than 7,000 coats to area Puritan cleaners, 2,000 more than last year.
Well, I owe our biggest thanks to our associates and staff who work so hard weekends and nights to make this program possible, and the friends and customers in Central Virginia that just keep giving and giving year after year. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it.
If we all washed in cold with Tide cold water, we could save enough energy to light up the homes in 1,000 towns. Save loads of energy with Tide cold water.
This is Ted Linhart from the Dominion Auto Group, taking time out to wish you...
Nice, Ted. But what about the exclusive year-end GM supplier pricing event going on at both Dominion Chevy Short Pump and Dominion Chevy South Park? Any Chevy dealer can have a red tag sale, but only Dominion saves you even more with GM supplier prices. You pay the same discounted price that GM suppliers get on any new Chevy. No haggling. The discounts are set in stone. But it's all over January 2nd.
Wishes and much joy in the coming year.
Just when you thought it was safe to dig your way out of your closet, here it comes. Sacks and Shoes 50% off winter sale. Now you can save up to 50% on thousands of stylish shoes and accessories at Virginia's largest shoe store. The 50% off winter sale going on now at Sacks and Shoes. It'll have a tremendous impact on your closet. All new Dr. Phil.
Wacky resolution.
Can guests beat their fears for the new year?
You have a car that you won't drive because...
It has OnStar. This woman started talking to me. This is OnStar. It was your emergency. I said, you're my emergency. Turn off.
And she's scared to be without her blankie.
You hold your blanket and suck your thumb.
New Dr. Phil.
People don't want to see that.
Dr. Phil tomorrow at 3 on NBC 12.
When you've been injured in an accident, that's just the beginning of the pain. At the Allen Law Firm, we understand it's not just about your case. It's about your life. Call us. We'll put nearly a century of experience behind you.
Central Virginia's news leader on the ground and in the air. This is NBC 12 News.
Well, this is one way to mark the new year. Each year, like clockwork, a group called the Berlin Seals shed their clothes and plunge into an icy lake in Germany. This is the 24th year for the annual skinny dipping tradition. Is that George Costanza? Well, not to be outdone, these lifeguards jumped off a bridge 45 feet above the chilly Tiber River today in Rome. Hundreds of people gathered around the bridge to take in the spectacle. This New Year's Day tradition goes back to 1953. And a 14-year-old boy is expected to break the record for the youngest person to sail solo across the Atlantic. Tourists now gathered in Antigua, where young Michael Piram is expected to sail into port probably Wednesday. He set sail from Gibraltar on November 18th in a 28-foot boat called Cheeky Monkey. And take a look at who else is taking to the water. Kevin Day and his dog Brown Sugar showed off their skills today on the Mississippi River in St. Louis. This stunt part of an event to raise money for the Disabled Athletes Sporting Association. We're back next with sports.
down to the final days of Victory Nissan and Mechanicsville's national year-end sales event. Interest rates starting at 0%, no money down, and 0 payments for a full 3 months. A 2006 Nissan Altima for just $147 per month. Time is running out, so head to Victory Nissan's year-end sales event today.
NBC Tuesday, Law & Order CI and SVU. New year, new episodes. First on Criminal Intent, 1 girl, 2 fiancés, and a Law & Order murder.
Well, her luck ran out.
Then on SVU, Brian Dennehy and a riveting case. But for the SVU twist, you'll have to dig deeper.
No better place for burying a secret than a boneyard, huh?
All new Criminal Intent, all new SVU, back-to-back, Tuesday, 9, 8 Central on NBC.
The Latin Ballet of Virginia presents The Legend of the Poinsettia, a performing arts interpretation of the Mexican legend celebrating the Hispanic spirit of the season at the Cultural Arts Center at Glen Allen, January 6th through the 7th. For tickets, visit latinballet.com or call 379-2555. 379-2555.
We're down to the final days of Victory Nissan and Mechanicsville's national year-end sales event. Interest rates starting at 0%, no money down, and 0 payments for a full 3 months. A 2006 Nissan Sentra for $127 per month. Time is running out, so head to Victory Nissan's year-end sales event today.
NBC 12, First Warning Weather Plus, 24 hours a day on Comcast Digital 208.
Here's a comfort kit from Changeover Air to help you lower your fuel bills and extend the life of your heating and cooling equipment. Check the temperature differential between the supply and the return. Should be about 18 degrees. Get more tips. Call or click on changeoverair.com when it's comfort that matters.
You're mine. There's no contest when it comes to McDonald's tender, juicy Chicken McNuggets. Right now, get a 4-piece Chicken McNuggets for just $1.
Now is the time. Come to the Mac Events Home Show Richmond, January 19th through 21st at the Greater Richmond Convention Center. Saturday and Sunday, see TV's Tom Silva from This Old House. Tour a full-sized modular home and luxury outdoor kitchens. Meet the highest quality home experts at the Mac Events Home Show Richmond, January 19th through 21st, all indoors at the Greater Richmond Convention Center. Thanks to NBC 12, 2-for-1 admission Friday and Saturday after 5. For more information, visit macevents.com.
Here's a comfort kit from Changeover Air to help you lower your fuel bills and extend the life of your heating and cooling equipment. Check your duct system for leaks, particularly if you notice dust. Get more tips. Call or click on changeoverair.com when it's comfort that matters.
New Year's Day is made for people who love to watch college football. Great games from morning until midnight. A seat on the couch and plenty of batteries in the remote, all that are needed. We start with the Outback Bowl. Penn State played Tennessee, and Joe Paterno on hand. Looks like him anyway. Second quarter tied at 3. Andrew Quarles with the touchdown catch. Penn State led 10-3. Joe, 80 years old. Late second quarter, LaMarcus Coker takes off. 42 yards on this play. Good for a touchdown, and the game was tied at 10. And Joe Pa not loving things from his seat high above. Fourth quarter still tied at 10. It's like this. Tennessee driving until Adrian Foster coughs it up. Tony Davis returns it 88 yards for a touchdown. Gene Lepley happy about this. Penn State beats Tennessee 20-10. Joe Paterno gets his 22nd bowl victory. In Texas today, Nebraska and Auburn met in the Cotton Bowl. First quarter, no score. Nate Swift with the ball in the end zone. Good for a touchdown for the Cornhuskers. In the second quarter, tied at 7. Carl Stewart leaps into the end zone. Auburn on top, 14-7. War Eagle. Still in the second quarter, Brandon Jackson. He ties the game at 14 as this one went back and forth. Third quarter tied at 14, John Vaughn. He boots a 42-yard field goal. Auburn beats Nebraska 17-14, the final score. Wisconsin and Arkansas met today in the Capital One Bowl. Game was played down in Orlando. Here's a look at the highlights of this one. Arkansas with the ball. Wisconsin on top 3-0, and Felix Jones is gone. 76 yards for a touchdown. Arkansas led 7-3. Late in the first quarter, Wisconsin doing the job passing all day. Paul Hubbard with a nice touchdown catch. Badgers led 10-7. Second quarter, it's Travis Beckham with a touchdown catch. Wisconsin beats Arkansas 17-14, the final score. Georgia Tech and West Virginia in a high-scoring game at the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. Second quarter, Yellow Jackets with the ball leading 14-7. Calvin Johnson, one of the top players in the country, making plays like this. 48 yards, it's good for a touchdown. Tech on top 21-7. Third quarter, little chicanery. Tito Gonzalez, 57-yard touchdown. Look at the offensive lineman just staying in the stance, fools everyone. Good for a touchdown. 35-24, Mountaineers down, but not out. Still in the third quarter, Brandon Miles of Goochland High School. Great catch for a touchdown, 35-31. After a Tech turnover, Patrick White gets into the end zone. West Virginia beats Georgia Tech 38-35. Great comeback by the Nears today. Mountaineers 11-2. This afternoon, Michigan and Southern Cal met in the Rose Bowl. Two teams that were one win away from playing in the national championship game. A great matchup in Pasadena, the granddaddy of them all. Third quarter tied at 3. John David Booty hooks up with Chris McFoy. Southern Cal on top 10-3. Booty threw for 391 yards. Still in the third quarter, Dwayne Jarrett with a touchdown catch, 22 yards on this play. 16-3 Trojans. Jarrett caught 11 passes and made a lot of money today because he'll play in the NFL with catches like this. Dwayne Jarrett again. Michigan's secondary in the second half was atrocious. Southern Cal beats Michigan 32-18. Nice win by the Trojans today as they bounce back in the win column. On the scoreboard, one bowl game still going on. Looking to shock the world, Boise State up 28-17 late in the third quarter of this game at the Fiesta Bowl. Bob Knight now has the most wins of any Division I college basketball coach. Today, the Texas Tech head basketball coach moved past Dean Smith. Knight now has 880 career wins. Today, Texas Tech beat New Mexico 70-68. Sad news to pass along. A Denver Broncos football player was shot and killed this morning outside a Denver nightclub. 24-year-old Darrent Williams was in a limousine that was hit by several bullets. Police don't have a motive, but are searching for the suspects. Williams played with the Broncos game New Year's Eve against the San Francisco 49ers. Two NFL coaches were fired today. Dennis Green and Jim Mora were both let go. Green led Arizona to a record of 16 wins and 32 losses in 3 years. The Cardinals finished with a record of 5 wins and 11 losses this season. Atlanta Falcons fired Jim Mora. Mora had a record of 26 wins and 22 losses as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons made it to the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. Here's a look at the AFC playoff picture. Saturday afternoon, the Colts host the Chiefs. Sunday, the Patriots welcome the New York Jets. Chargers and the Ravens both have byes. Here's a look at the NFC playoff picture. Saturday night, the Seahawks host the Boys. Sunday afternoon, the Giants play Philly. Now, the Chicago Bears and the Saints both have first-round byes. Let's look at sports, Gene. Boise State, incredible tonight.
They're my favorite team right now. At least for another quarter. Thanks,
That's right.
Joe. Yep. And before we go, a quick reminder, federal and state offices will be closed tomorrow. President Bush has declared a national day of mourning for President Ford. The stock market also closed, as well as post offices. Mail will resume again on Wednesday. It's important to note, though, local schools open tomorrow, so are most area banks. For all of us who have worked New Year's Day to bring you the news, thanks for joining us. Have a great 2007. Good night.
NBC 12, Central Virginia's #1 news, a member of the Lincoln Financial Group of Companies.